Hello, everybody. How's it going? As usual, at the start of the live, as people are funneling in, I'm going to be checking out the sun, make sure it's not doing anything stupid. Do not ask questions yet. Do not super chat. I'm not paying any attention to you at all right now. We have things to talk about first. The sun is quiet. Good. Not going to have to interrupt this to do anything. While we are waiting for a few more people to come in here, Denver sucks in the chat. So we are going to, as the title of the live stream says, we're going to talk about the Schumann resonance, and I'm going to answer your questions about it. We're going to be talking about solar storm risk for this year, and I'll answer some questions about it. And then we will open it up, and you guys can ask pretty much whatever you want. Sounds pretty good? Splendid. Splendid. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is the Schumann resonance. And the first question I have, on my screen, everything looks backwards. Is it backwards for you guys, or are you seeing the words go the correct way so that you can actually read it? It's correct? Okay, so it's just for some reason on my screen, everything looks backwards. Okay, so we'll talk about the Schumann resonance. Now, the background of this is last night, on X, formerly known as Twitter. Whoo! Did I upset the woo-woos? Oh, did I upset the woo-woos last night? To be fair, they upset me first. The number of people who are freaking out and lightning posting about the Schumann resonance is an absolute catastrophe. An absolute catastrophe. Hold on, I'm noticing a smudge on my camera here. Using my son's t-shirt. Okay, so I made a post about the Schumann resonance and why you should not be freaking out, why it's literally one of the most ridiculous things to be freaking out about. And a lot of people got it. A lot of people got it. And some people didn't. Some people didn't. So we're going to be going over this, and luckily I've got the board here. So first thing we're going to talk about, we're up here in the corner, the Schumann resonance. What affects it? Solar wind, lightning, and to a certain extent, earthquakes and volcanoes. Why is this important? It's important that we know what affects the Schumann resonance, because this is where the entire crux of this whole thing comes in. Now, what got me upset is people talking about seeing something on the Schumann resonance and talking about, oh, like we are raising our consciousness level, or, oh, something big is happening energetically. No. Two things before I get to this part of the chart. The station everybody uses, it's the same one out of Russia, and it's broken. What do I mean by broken? I mean, back in 2011 and early 2012, I was noticing things on the Schumann resonance, and so I started making videos about it. Turns out, one of the main people who work at that station happened to be an observer. They sent me photos of them inside the station, outside the station, gave me their whole rundown, and they said, this particular station for Schumann resonance is broken. Anytime their cell phone rings, when they turn on the lights in the room, the machine goes nuts. It's not supposed to do that. And, there are people asking, well, okay, well, if the station's broken, like, why is it still there? Why haven't they closed it down? Because that station in Russia does a lot more than just track the Schumann resonance. And as a matter of fact, they now don't really track the Schumann resonance, but they never took it offline. There was no reason to take it offline. Essentially, that thing that everybody's using online, and they all use the same Tromso one, it's broken. It's not showing anything real. The other thing is the Schumann resonance is the last in line symptom. Now, what people are doing is they are noticing things in the weather, things in earthquakes, things in volcanoes, and things with human health that appear to be correlated with spikes in the Schumann resonance. And they are drawing the conclusion that the Schumann resonance is causing these things. After it rains, the ground is wet. But do you know what else is wet? Your car, the trees, you, if you've been outside, the roof of your house. Should you then conclude, because these things always happen at the same time, that the ground being wet is the cause of the roof being wet or the trees being wet or your car being wet? Of course not. There was something else that happened that did all of those things. So this is where the Schumann people are making a big mistake. They're seeing the correlations in time and they're thinking, oh, the Schumann resonance is causing it. No. What do I mean by last in line symptoms? So we are in a geomagnetic excursion right now, which if you are here and you don't know that, where hast thou been? Look down below the video at the Earth disaster video. Watch it. Learn something. The geomagnetic excursion is causing an increased impact of the solar wind to the ionosphere, therefore, an increase in the variability of the Schumann resonance. It is also letting in more cosmic rays into the atmosphere, which is causing a rise in lightning, which is causing an amplified reaction from the Schumann resonance. It is also causing increased geodynamic activity, most notably in the global electric circuit, which has a direct impact on earthquakes and volcanoes, which again, also affects the Schumann resonance. Now, what things like the solar wind and the cosmic rays, and even to a certain extent, the geodynamic activity also does, it affects the weather and it affects human health. So when we get something like an enhanced solar wind stream and it has a more powerful effect, because of the geomagnetic excursion, we're going to see more geomagnetic activity, more geodynamic activity, more of an impact on the weather, more of an impact on human health, and more fluctuations of the Schumann resonance. But does that mean the Schumann resonance is causing the impacts on human health and the things in the weather? No, just like the wet ground doesn't cause the wet tree and wet car and wet rooftop. The same previous thing, and this line up here, is what caused all of the last in line symptoms. So people are like, well, okay, so can't then the Schumann resonance help us confirm that something has happened that we should be paying attention to? Yes, it can. And this is the only good reason to use the Schumann resonance. By seeing how the solar wind reacts with the ionosphere, seeing how lightning interacts with the ionosphere, we can get a good gauge for how far along we are in the geomagnetic excursion. Now, this would take, it's so incremental when it comes to the Schumann resonance that this is something you have to be looking at year after year after year after year after year. However, if you've got crazy weather, if you've got major health impacts with everyone you know, if there's an uptick in earthquakes and volcanoes, and there was geomagnetic activity, yep, you better be seeing something in the Schumann resonance, because the same thing that would cause all of those is also causing the Schumann resonance to go up. Does this make sense? I'm not saying the Schumann resonance is worthless and it has no value whatsoever. But when these people are talking about, oh, the Schumann resonance is high, it's going to do this, watch out for this. No. Oh, the ground is wet. Oh no, my car might get wet. My roof might get wet. No, they're already wet because something before made the ground wet and also did all of those other things. Does this make sense to you guys? Now, there are also some people who are saying, but wait a minute, Ben, you're missing something from that list over there. Can't human consciousness affect the Schumann resonance? No. The Global Consciousness Project was real, absolutely real. It noticed coherence and spikes in human consciousness Things like Christmas, when there's major disasters like terrorism events, earthquakes. It notices it on New Year's. The big thing that the Global Consciousness Project is now really known for is that a couple hours before 9/11, consciousness began rising and became coherent in a way they had never seen before. And at the same time, there was no explanation for it. And then the planes started hitting the towers. And then finally, when that last plane went down in Pennsylvania, the coherence disappeared. And so the idea is that our consciousness sort of knew something big was going to happen. But do you know what happened to the Schumann resonance that day? Nothing. Nothing. Does this mean that there is a 0.00 impact of the Schumann resonance on human beings? Probably not. But worrying about the Schumann resonance impact on the human being is like living under a 5G tower, staring at your screen 6 inches away all day, with your phone up to your face all day, and being worried about the refrigerator magnet because you saw an article about how magnetism can affect cellular processes. Okay, yeah, it's true. A magnet, if strong enough and if perpetually on you long enough, can affect cellular processes. But you'd be worried about this. Be worried about this. Be worried about the 5G tower. That magnet over there is nothing. That's the Schumann resonance in this entire equation. I hope that makes sense. Do we have any questions on the Schumann resonance or anything I just said? I'll go like this. We can actually see that whole chart there. I'll wait. Do we have any questions on what I just said about the Schumann resonance and why it's not useless, but it's nothing like what these people on the internet are talking about? And it's not just Twitter. I'm seeing these videos on YouTube too. I hear they're also on TikTok and Instagram and other things like that. It's not what those people are saying. It is a last in line symptom. Now, let's say we're noticing a whole bunch of weird stuff, and for some reason, all space weather data is down. The KP index is down. The solar wind monitors are down. All these things are down. And you're like, I wonder if we had geomagnetic activity. If the Schumann resonance things are up, you could check there and that could tell you. But other than that, it's not all that useful. By the way, I did notice a whole bunch of super chats came in, and I'm going to be ignoring them. Thank you for those who gave me the teal pears. You know, that makes me happy. Why are you tearing my dreams down, Ben? Because I'm not your daddy. I'm not your kindergarten teacher. I could be your friend in a certain way, but also your friend doesn't baby you. Your friend doesn't just tell you what you want to hear. If you look like shit, your friend doesn't tell you, oh, you look gorgeous. Let's go out to the club. They're like, hey, girl, maybe you want to fix that eyeliner, and you got a huge smudge right there on your butt of that dress, and it kind of looks like you pooped yourself. So maybe change your clothes. That's what a friend does. Friend tells you what you need to hear, even if you don't want to hear it. Anyway, all right, did I miss any questions? Are there cave paintings showing constellations from the previous flip? Elizabeth, we are not at that part of the show. We're just doing questions about the Schumann resonance right now. And again, after that, we're going to be talking about solar storm risk, and then we'll have questions about that. And then at the end of the show, we will do a general Q&A. But do we have any questions about what impacts the Schumann resonance, or the kinds of reasons why the Schumann resonance is acting weird right now, or the fact that it is a last in line symptom, or the fact that it has potential uses, but none of those are what these people online are talking about and scaring the bejesus out of people with? Do you have any questions on that? By the way, if I mentioned Denver sucks, Denver sucks. Why are you angry, bud? Just checking. Miss Joanne, why am I angry? I work on the internet. I take no days off. I read more scientific journals than just about anybody in the world. I give 90% of everything I do away for free, and I am bombarded with morons 24 hours a day. Try it sometime. Where to get info on what 5G and phone do to us? Don't worry about that, man. It's like peanuts. It's like peanuts. Okay, yes, some people are going to be susceptible. If they eat a bunch of peanuts, they could even die. For the vast majority of us, it does nothing. And our body adapts to it very well. Not saying there aren't risks, not saying it's super healthy for you, like popping vitamin C or going and sitting in the sunlight and making your own vitamin D. But at the end of the day, most people are handling it pretty well. Now, okay. Doesn't seem like we have too many questions. It seems like wait, so is it the geomagnetic excursions that can affect humans just like the GE affects weather and geodynamic activity? The geomagnetic excursion is affecting us in and of itself because the magnetic environment we're changing in is changing. The geomagnetic storms from solar wind are changing. Cosmic ray levels are changing. Yes, the geomagnetic excursion is one of the clearest cut reasons why people are acting the way they are acting. And that is, of course, in concert with the constant clown world we're forced to deal with, the unending train of psyops that we're supposed to go through, mainstream media, music, entertainment, everything. B. Farah says, is it true women can save us from the magnetic pole shift? Yes, and you should be afraid of the Schumann resonance. It was a hilarious joke like 3 weeks ago. If the one in Russia is down, where do we get valid measurement? Dynamo, did I just explain to you why this is not something you should be paying attention to? If you have a 8 to 15 year long study plan, okay, go find any of the other Schumann resonance monitors in the world, any of the other ones. Here's the other thing. If you have an 8 to 15 year tracking of the Schumann resonance plan, there's about a 2 or 3% chance you're ever going to see anything noteworthy. I do not recommend this. There are far better ways to spend your time. There is so much real shit going on in the world right now. You do not have time to be worrying about this nonsense. You do not. And it is nonsense. All right, we're done with the Schumann crap. Why aren't you? Somebody asked you, why am I not wearing my pendant? Because there's nobody here. The main purpose of that pendant is to protect your bodily energy and your body field against other people's impacting yours. I don't need to wear it. You don't need to wear it 24 hours a day. Some of the shit I'm seeing in the chat room. Some of you are hopeless. Not the majority of you. Some of you are utterly hopeless. I used the Schumann resonance frequency with the crystal radio type receiver I invented and produced free energy from vibration. What? Who are you? Ugh. All right, let's move on to topic number 2, solar storm risk. As I have said before, I genuinely believe that we are going to get through this sunspot cycle. Yes, we are breaking auroral records. Yes, it is very clear Earth's magnetic field is still weakening. It's also very clear that the Earth is not completely going bananas. Thank you, Ian. Denver sucks. Denver sucks. Earth's magnetic field is still weakening. Thank you for the teal pear, Bo. The elites, in quotes, the people in charge of this planet who somehow got power over everything that happens, are acting like this sunspot cycle is the end. They really are. They're really acting like it. And I guess I'm wondering where you guys are with your preparations. Are you in the correct location you want to be when the disaster goes down and there's no more power and there's basically chaos among the population? Or if you're not, do you know where you're going to go? Do you have food, water, bullets, seeds, pre-industrial tools, a wide array of clothing? Do you have books? Where are you guys in that kind of situation? Because my thinking based on the math and the science hasn't changed. But I also can't ignore the fact that the powers that be are really acting like it's all about to come down. Now, granted, that could be because they are going to do something stupid that makes it all come down, whether that's civil war and World War III, economic collapse and CBDCs, another pandemic they're going to unleash on us. Whatever it is, they are acting like time is almost up. And so I'm wondering, how prepared are you guys? I like how people are still asking questions that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now. Wait till the end for the general Q&A. I'm not going to tell you again. I'm just going to block you. Do you truly believe it's Jesus? Look at all these questions from people who are just not paying attention. You'll have to excuse me for a moment. I'm literally just. Do you know what this chat section reminds me of right now? Something Billy used to say. Ain't everybody gonna make it. Ain't everybody gonna make it. Unless you got generators or batteries in that bunker, no, it will not. No, it will not what? Yeah, I want to have a generator and batteries in my bunker so that they can get fried and not work, and the generator potentially explode inside the bunker. Yeah, I want a whole bunch of metal stuff in the bunker so that it can arc discharge and it can melt and create toxic situations for me and everybody else in the bunker. That's genius. Yeah. Let me go right on ahead and get all that stuff from my bunker. Anyway, it does seem like for whatever reason, the powers that be have a more accelerated timeline than I have. Does that necessarily make me change my mind and my opinion? No. But am I going to share that information and observation with you? Yes, I absolutely will. And as I have said many times, the wild card in all of this is the Carrington-like event, the major solar EMP. I can track the weakening of Earth's magnetic field. I can track a lot of the other changes and see that it's pointing to the zenith of this entire Earth disaster cycle as being in the late 2030s or more likely the 2040s. But when the sun's going to throw a big blast at us is anybody's guess. The sun might not do it, and we might march all the way to the 2040s with electricity and things like that. The sun could take out the world next week. There is just no knowing. Oh, how does my area of the world look? Oh my God. Ben, why are you so angry? Why are you upset, Ben? Why do you get salty on live streams? Are you looking at this in chat? Jesus. There's no way to filter this out either. There's no way to filter this out. Okay. Since you didn't want to listen about the Schumann resonance and you don't want to stay on point with solar storms, ask whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Go ahead. We're now an open Q&A. Eddie Edwards says, our doubts and traitors may make us lose the good we often might win by fearing to attempt. That's a cool quote. For what it's worth, I really appreciate you and your effort. Thank you. Much appreciated there. All trolls and no attention make Ben a salty boy. Morons make people angry. What can I say? Yes, they do, Carl. Yes. Yes, they do. Why do you do these live streams when they make you so angry? Can you not just ignore the clueless ones? I'm trying to pick out the ones who aren't clueless, Roddy Duncan. And it is a Noah's flood level of people not paying attention, being selfish with their questions, or just being idiots. And it's good to get a little angry sometimes. Makes you feel alive. Will humans fall into outer space when the world tilts? You know what? This is not the time for jokes, and if you're not joking, you're too dumb to be here. Goodbye. Suspicious observers, follow their thinking. That which is falling shall ye push. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to read that comment right there, but that's another reason why not everybody's going to make it. There are people who literally see me acting like this on a live stream and they can't take it. They freak out. And I'm like, what's your plan when the sun turns red? If you can't handle somebody being real with you on a live stream, what's your plan when everyone around you is starving and they're starting to kill each other and eat each other and rob each other? What's your plan? If you get frazzled by this, get snowflakes. I'm a speed reader, and it is this hard for me to find a legitimate question. What's your thoughts on the Earth tilting 23 degrees? What, Barry? It's a 90-degree tilt. Barry, did you just arrive at my channel in the last day or so? If you don't know that it is a 90-degree tilt and that the crust is unlocked by the solar micronova, look right below the video in the description box. There's a bunch of links in there, but the one that's important is the playlists. And under the playlists, you'll see Earth disaster video, solar micronova video. Please do your homework if you're going to ask questions. Please, please, please. Do not be disrespectful to everybody else who has done their homework and is hoping to hear a thoughtful question that they don't already know the answer to because they've done their homework. Be patient with the sheeple, Ben. They can't help it. I will do no such thing. I will do no such thing. I will not be patient. We don't talk about Van Allen's belt. First of all, there are 3 Van Allen belts, and there's no need to talk about them. Do the elite have access to recent magnetic field measurements that we don't? I'm sure they do. That's a legitimate question. They stopped giving us updates on how strong the magnetic field was in about 2010. And it's not like they just stopped looking at it. Yeah, they've got the measurements. They know exactly how far down we are. After the shift, how long until everything stabilizes? A couple days. They all talk about a really disastrous event, and then everything goes into calm like a new golden age. Mike, thank you for the teal pair. Appreciate that. How long before the slosh and sloshback? I think you probably mean the initial inertial wave in the sloshback. It depends on where you are. It depends on where you are. It's going to be a little different depending on where you are. Dr. Robitaille is texting me. Give me a second. Yeah, he takes precedence over this chat section. Sorry. If anybody's not following him, it's Sky Scholar. It's an amazing YouTube channel. It's an amazing YouTube channel. All right. 2 of 3. Where did you start on this trek of a rabbit hole? Movie, book, discussion, etc. I want to get my older kids, now young adults, ready. I started watching space weather and I started reading scientific journals, and I happened to come across the stuff about Earth's magnetic field changing, so I looked into that. While I was continuing to read the journals, mostly for stuff about climate change and how the sun impacts it. Just as I'm scrolling through the journal, there's this article about Saturn, and then there's this article about a galactic energy field, and then there's this article about a chemistry change in the solar corona, and then there's this article about a change on Venus, a change on Mars. Doing the hard work is really what it takes. And yes, the fact that I have a mild form of hyperthymesia and I'm a speed reader counts as cheating. Sue me. I'm on your team. What do you want me to say? But no, most people cannot do this. Did you find a hardcover of World in Peril? I have a hardcover of World in Peril. And thanks to people sharing it on Twitter, I now have a bunch of the PDF versions as well. Do you think the dust will form around the Earth as with the sun and then form the first particles of solids from the micronova? So the dust will mostly accumulate around the sun. We are seeing a bit more dust in the interplanetary space. We're seeing a bit more dust in Earth's atmosphere. And we are starting to see a little bit in the uppermost reaches of the solar corona. The problem is the solar wind is still active. Major UV and X-ray output is still active. It can't agglomerate. It can't build up there right now. It's getting obliterated, vaporized, pushed out. But when the galactic magnetic null point, where the galactic magnetic reversal happens, when that part of the current sheet hits the sun, luminosity, solar wind output, it's all going to drop, probably close to the floor. It's where we get the days of darkness, where the sun turns black. In addition to the luminosity going down, that's when the dust is going to agglomerate, accrete, and build up there as the micronova shell. And then, of course, as soon as that passes and the sun is no longer in a magnetic null and it's got its access to the galactic electric field and the galactic magnetic fields, it's going to click back on and blast that shell off throughout the solar system. Ben, what will we visually see when the sun goes micronova versus when we get a Carrington-like event? Dark Maitri. If you've done the homework, you've seen some of the potential visualizations of the solar micronova. Which one of them is correct? I don't know. It might look completely different, but it's going to look like the sun blasts off a shell. In terms of the Carrington event, you're not going to see a damn thing until the auroras are over your head in Texas and Florida, Cuba, places like that. But no, you don't see solar flares. You don't see the solar wind coming. You don't see geomagnetic storms unless you see the aurora. You just feel the effects. Boy, what a cluster schmuck this is. Okay. Starwater. Does the Earth shed H2O, or will we eventually become a water world? Thoughts? We are going to lose some water to space in the micronova blast. We are going to take in a lot of hydrogen and create more water as it interacts with the ozone. And just as importantly, when we lose a tiny little bit of the atmosphere, it's going to create a pressure differential that allows outgassing from the crust. Don't forget the waters below. There is 3 times the amount of water in all the oceans in the world locked within the crust, even more in the mantle. And anything that is lost up here, it's going to create outgassing, outpouring from the waters below in liquid and in gaseous form. I don't think we're ever going to go all the way one way or the other. This place equalizes itself pretty well. Do any of the homemade Faraday storage ideas have a chance of working? Keep up the great work, Ben. You know, they might for like a Carrington-like event, but not the micronova. I'm preparing for pre-industrial society. And even if you manage to save something, how long is that something going to last? If you save a generator, where are you going to get oil once it runs out? If you save batteries or electric devices, you can't plug them in afterwards. Your batteries are going to run out. All you're doing is putting off the inevitable, which is you need to learn how to do things the way they did them 300 years ago. Why wait? I am not doing Faraday storage. The only thing I'm doing is, just in case the induction is bad enough to set off things like bullets, I'm putting my bullets in plastic casing. I am, to the greatest degree I can, not getting metal canned goods, although I think metal canned goods may actually be okay. But just in case, why not use glass jars with rubber gaskets? Yeah, but in terms of electrical technology, I'm not really preparing to have any of that in the aftermath. And I scrolled too far. Of course I did. There's a solar current sheet with short cycles and a galactic current sheet with 12,000-year cycles. Is there a larger scale current sheet that might have hundreds of thousands of years intervals? It's possible. Maybe somewhere in between the dipole repeller and the great attractor, there is actually a supermass that we haven't necessarily located and identified. And maybe it has something that comes out and affects the galaxies. No idea. And that one would probably be on many, many millions of years. Hopefully that helps answer that question. Once the pole shift is complete, will the MG be 100% instantly, or is there a reboot period? The micronova should basically recharge up the magnetic field. We should go from the disaster to a golden age. That's what the stories tell us. Don't forget, India's records include 4 of these. The Zoroastrian texts describe the before, during, and after. It should go to, it should go back to normal pretty quickly. Of course, most of us won't be here to see it, but it's almost like we've taken our punishment. Those of you who survive, there you go. Here's a little gift. Is it better to store iodized salt than plain salt? I don't know. Store both. You need iodine. In general, though, sea salt with the magnesium salts are better for you. Anyway. Look at nebulosity just snipe at people. What counts static radio waves around the Earth? What are you asking me? What are you asking me? Chris. Okay, thank you for clarifying that for me. I've read the books, but I guess I missed the off-gassing effect. Appreciate you, Ben. Right on. Can you dumb down the crustal shift? How more about the mantles stick together? I don't think I could dumb down the crustal shift any more than I've already dumbed it down in these videos. Right now, there is not a singular breaking flat point between the crust and the mantle. It is bumpy, jagged, and so it's kind of locked together. Not to mention that right where they meet, it's neither solid nor liquid, but something like thick molasses. It's partially melted or melting, and this has everything stick together. However, that low velocity zone takes the majority of the induced current, even during modern day solar storms. But in the micronova, there will be enough current to completely melt that layer, flatten it all out, and then the crust is no longer locked to the mantle, and the ice can do whatever it wants with the crust. And of course, what it wants to do is spin at the point of greatest centrifugal force, basic physics, which is, of course, the equator. Do you see the Hopi Indian glyphs as being connected as a warning of what occurred before depicting plasma discharges? Maybe. They certainly knew something terrible happened and is going to happen again. What are the chances of the dust sheet influencing the asteroid belt and dislodging planet killers that will ultimately get pulled into the dust cloud? No. How many times have we had a planet killer? This thing happens every 12,000 years. We're still here. And if anything, the micronova, first of all, the micronova shouldn't be strong enough, just blasting out dust and plasma, to move rocks in space. But if it did, it's going to push them outward, away from the Earth. The asteroid belt is outside of Earth's orbit. The impactors that hit with all of these cycles, the things that have Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson super confused, are pieces of the sun's micronova shell. It's not a separate comet. It's not a separate asteroid. It is pieces of the micronova shell, which is why they pepper the Earth like that. Yes, I know Graham Hancock thinks we go through asteroidal or cometary field every so often. We see asteroids on 30,000-year orbits, on 70,000-year orbits. We see comets in the outer part of the solar system that won't be in the inner solar system for 100,000 years. You think we don't see a giant field of comets and asteroids that hits us every 12,000 years? No, we would see that very, very clearly. Anyway, this is fun as always. The biggest difference about normal people and observers born 10,000 years ago. Huh. If all stars periodically nova, I didn't say that. Does that mean the chances of any civilizations advancing too far anywhere in the universe? All right, I will finish your question. Are low? And no, because not every star has a nova event. Some have super flare events, like Proxima Centauri. But if they're in a close binary, like the Alpha Centauri system, they protect each other with their magnetic field. I'm not sure that the biggest of all stars are as affected as the medium-sized stars like the sun or the small stars like the red dwarfs. Many stars are impacted by this. The G-type stars, the red dwarfs, and the ones on the smaller end of the scale, yeah, they probably are going to react. But that's not all the stars in the galaxy or the universe. And just take a look at where, I mean, the vast 99.99% of our technological acumen has come in the last 150, 200 years. That's like 99% of the world out there right now. Imagine if we had just gotten there a little sooner. Imagine if we are where we are now 200 years ago. You think that extra 200 years might give us a chance to actually get off this planet, somehow shield the planet? I can't say yes, but I think it's very possible that the idea that this would prevent alien life is low. We still got people talking about like what's salt here. And I'm not like my saltiness, but like what's salt to stock. Oi. Question. You did the big burp. No, I didn't. Rocky did. Do you think an off-road two-wheeled tote goat type bike would be feasible? How in the hell would I know? Kickstarter. These are questions for Rocky, not me. I have no idea. I'm just a science nerd who gets salty at people who don't pay attention and do their homework. Is there any way to track the dimming of the sun due to dust before it turns red without technology? One, no. Two, because it will not do that to any significant degree until the central magnetic current sheet, the null point, the magnetic reversal, actually happens. And then it's going to happen in a day. There is no point trying to track infinitesimal changes in the sun's brightness or the dust accumulation in the corona, even if you had a way to do it, and you don't. Because when it happens, 99.9% of that dimming to red and then black will happen like that. There's no point in tracking that right now. But I understand your question, Kevin. We still have people talking about salt in the chat room. So chunks of solar impactors produce similar proxy items as we would expect from airburst Tunguska type objects. Any salt better than no salt, iodine essential. You're correct on the first part, and yes, iodine is essential. Salt is useful. What about reverse wave time conjugation? Dude. I need to read these to myself before I read them out loud. As most of us aren't going to get hunkered down for the new world, is it at least going to be a good show? Godlike. Yeah, it's going to be a good show. Shanona says, hypothesis that there could be up to 1,000-mile-per-hour winds during the flip. Spouse asked me to post this. As I have said many times in the video, no, there will not be 1,000-mile-an-hour winds. There will not be 2-mile high waves. Those are overblown ideas about this event. How do I know? Because we're talking to each other right now, because there's trees outside, because there's animals outside. Things like that would scour this planet. It would kill the entire planet. And that's never happened. This cycle happens over and over and over again. Don't forget, the worst such event we know of is LeChamp. 4% of species went extinct, and 30 to 80% of the surviving species populations were reduced. Yeah, that's still horrible. But if we had 1,000-mile-per-hour winds, nothing's surviving. 2-mile-high waves, nothing's surviving. Humans survive this every time. Could there be hurricane force winds that hit nearly every part of the planet at some point in the immediate aftermath? Sure. Are great waves going to take out half to 75% of the land? Yeah, that will happen. And if you did that, you still got a billion people left on the planet if they're prepared. Chances are they're not prepared. So we're probably going to have somewhere in the 50 to 300 million people left range, if I had to guess. George S., that's enough Jimmy Buffett impressions for you. Scrolling. A lot of telephone lines run through forests. How bad could forest fires be after a Carrington event? The fire in Canada didn't go out till winter. There's going to be tons of forest fires, and it's not going to take the telephone lines. Forest fires were an enormous part of the Younger Dryas catastrophe, Lake Mungo, Mono Lake, LeChamp. Forest fires are going to happen, and they are going to be bad. Another reason why you don't necessarily want to be hiding out in the middle of the forest is because those hurricane force winds are going to take down trees. They're going to take down trees. Could you imagine being in the right location? You don't get hit by the waves. You've got all your preps, and a tree falls on you. Great googly moogly. Can you link to where you got your amulet? Energiesofservice.org. Energiesofservice.org. Damn, I didn't realize there's going to be so many questions about the amulet pendant thing I sometimes wear. Good evening from the Jersey Shore. Hello, Grateful Preps, New Jersey. We're having a hard time here this afternoon. Did you notice? Good to see you. I have two... I suck at scrolling. I suck at this. I have two colleges doing their homework thanks to your information on the mammoths and the equatorial glaciers. Thank you for going on Timcast. You're very welcome, Bo. I would not expect too much out of any college. They are constrained. To those of you that have just joined the Observers, you need to know a few things. Watch the playlist below. Never use acronyms. The majority of mainstream science is fiction to keep you in the dark. That's not bad, Fire Dog. Thank you. Appreciate it. Would you rather advise people to buy a bunker or an enclosed lifeboat to survive, like those drop boats on oil platforms? I don't know what those boats look like, but I will say this. If your plan is to float, that can work. But don't picture just water. Picture the Japan tsunami, where there's trees, houses, rocks, people, cars, all kinds of things coming with the water. They will shred an inflatable like that. It needs to be sturdy if your plan is to float away. And that is not a terrible plan. That is not a terrible plan. You just got to make sure the thing you're floating away in is sturdy. The other thing you have to realize is you're going to be pushed. Let's say you manage to get in this thing and you float away. You're going to be floating in one direction for about an entire day. You're going to stop. Then you're going to start going back the other direction. When that happens, you are in the process of being pulled out into the middle of the ocean. Find any land, paddle, drop a sail, jump off the thing and swim. Just when you stop going in one direction, after a whole day, and you start going in the other direction, you need to get to land as fast as humanly possible. Hope that helps. Ben, appreciate you. I'm trying to keep up. Would a steel ship be suitable as a sea-grounded shelter alternative or non-conducting? Steel's going to be durable enough, but then again, there's the induction and the arc potential. I like wood. I like rubber. But I mean, here's the other thing. Let's say I have a steel pole this big, okay? That's not going to melt. That's not going to melt. It's got too much of an area to funnel the induced current. And so there's a lot of factors when it comes to use of metal for different things, boats, houses. I'd be lying if I said I could give you all of the detailed information on all of that, but some of this is still guesswork. Work colleagues. Sorry, I got auto corrected. Oh, okay. Right on, Bo. Yo, somebody go get an ice pack for Nebulosity's finger. Dude, you're going to be sore all night from this sniping. Hello, Susie. Thank you, Ben, for everything you do. My daughter is laughing at trees dropping on you. Oh, my goodness. Do your homework. Watch the playlist. Getting more supplies tomorrow. Live like a Viking. Right on. King Ragnar. Always put a rubber on your wood, Ben. You watch your mouth, Matthew. Is mercury fulminate conductive? Will it work as a flash powder for bullets? I have no idea. The only thing I know about mercury fulminate is what Breaking Bad taught me. And yeah. Ben, I appreciate the work you do. I'm sure I already know the answer. I'm ventilator wheelchair dependent and think prepping by putting my backup vent in a cage with solar panels is futile, correct? Trying your best is never futile. You are here right now for a reason. And this is more of a personal belief of mine. I believe that our souls chose to come here right now. We didn't just randomly incarnate here. We didn't get marching orders. We chose to come here and be here for this. Don't give up on you. You never know what kind of luck is going to come your way. Are there any megalithic locations that... Oh, I scrolled. How about that? I was in the middle of reading something and then I lost it. All right, well, I lost that question. Ladies, are you doing your part? Ask Dishocheck. Are you, ladies? Are you doing your part? What determines that the arc discharge works like clockwork? Last time North America was hit. Again, this is one of those things where sometimes you can see the pattern even if you don't know how the pattern works. My favorite example of that in history is our ancestors could predict eclipses, but they also thought that the sun and the moon were capricious gods that would get pissed off at you for your behavior. They didn't know what the heck was going on. They didn't understand the physics, yet they understood the pattern so they could predict eclipses. I have no idea why there seems to be this pattern that where places around the earth are getting hit, but the pattern exists. I can predict the eclipse, but I can't tell you why. We're having fun. Why can't the government tell us this? You know they have to know about this. Because of what that guy's quote from the movie 2012 is absolutely accurate. What, do you just want to tell everyone they're doomed? There'll be anarchy. There'll be chaos. Anything you'd want to save would be destroyed the next day. You think you're going to call 911 and get some cop to show up to you, to your house, or wherever you're having a problem? If the world's going to end, you think anybody's going to the store? You think the farmer is going to leave his family behind and bring his fruit or his vegetables or his meat products to the market to sell and stand there all day? Think banks will be open, gas stations will be open? What in the world would they tell us this for? We would literally tear the world apart as a species. Everything we would want to save would be gone. Will the weather manipulation weapons in Antarctica be destroyed when the Earth tilts? First of all, those things are overblown and they don't work that well. Never forget, Earth is not changing as fast as the Sun, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, or interplanetary space. Now, is Earth getting lucky while humans are trying to get up even more? Or are they trying to keep the game going as much as humanly possible? No, I don't think they should be playing God in the sky. No, I don't like the fact that they are primarily doing this so that they can stay on the top of the pyramid as long as possible and buy more time to grab up resources and money and power and land and control. If you can't wrap your head around the idea that their weather modification is the only thing keeping this whole thing going right now, or at least a good part of it, and yes, we are receiving a tiny benefit from it, then you've already gone off the cliff. No, I don't like it. I don't think they should be playing God in the sky. I don't think they should be doing any of these things. But if you think they're making tornadoes or they're making floods or they're making storms, you have zero conception of science and mathematics and exactly what the power is. You also have no conception of how the Earth is doing compared to the rest of the solar system. Okay, let's find some other questions here. Sorry, I'm like distracted by stupidity. You got to give me a minute here. Randy, this was my thought process for a while. He says, after a few months of no electricity, it will be open season on other people. Meat is meat. As horrifying as that sounds, it's something that crossed my mind. And then they rolled out the vaccine. And now the vast majority of the people out there are too dangerous to eat, put it that way. I'll trust my dry fasting over eating somebody who got the vaccine. All right. Ben is hot when he gets upset. Aw, thanks. Appreciate it. Denver sucks. Do you have a timeline for reviewing applicants for open ranch positions? That's a fair question. We have a handful of positions available and over 2,500 resumes. I have absolutely no idea how long this is going to take. I have no idea. As fast as we possibly can. If anybody is curious, I think it was actually this morning. Was it this morning or yesterday morning? I put the links for the Observer Ranch sponsorships and our hiring page as the pinned chat or the pinned comment in the comment section. I think that was this morning I did that. But yeah, go ahead. If that sounds fun to you, send us more resumes. Fantastic. But who is they, though? LMFAO. The governments, the World Economic Forum, billionaires, secret societies, the people who sit at the highest tables whose names we don't know. Klaus Schwab's boss. And that boss's boss. Who is they, though? Shut up. I told somebody to put you on his show. Do you think 3D printed all plastic engines powered by batteries is a good idea worth trying? No. Batteries are going to run out. Why stave off the inevitable? Why stave off? Eventually, you, your children, you're going to have to go back to doing things the old way. Why not just learn how to do it? Everyone's like, well, if I do this and I do this, maybe I can save some batteries, and then I can, I can sit there with a flashlight and jerk off for 3 weeks after the disaster. What the fuck are you talking about? Just do the hard shit. Something you're scared of, something you know is hard, something you don't want to do is the thing you have to get off your ass, get over yourself, and do. Just like when you don't feel like going to the gym, that's the day you better not miss it. When you really, really, really want to break your diet, you better not break it on that day. Show some resilience. You want to make it through this thing? That's why you're all here, right? You want to make it through this? Sack up. Do the hard thing now, or you're not going to make it. And somebody like me is going to eat you. Unless you're vaccinated, in which case I'm just going to leave you in a hole somewhere. I told myself I wasn't going to be salty today. Ben, were the layers of coral under the Arctic equal thickness, or was the tropical layer thin? Can't find that detail in World in Peril. Do more pods. I don't know what pods are. So in World in Peril, that was sort of the jumping off point where it talked about the tropical fossils, a lot of them tree fossils, in those layers. But the other stuff from Ken White, the stuff from Chan Thomas, the stuff in Cyclical Deluge, the stuff from Walker, Leibniz, Hibben, it really does seem like it is a pretty equal thing, and it's tilt 12,000 years, then tilt back. You're not going to find all of the evidence in World in Peril. It's good to know that they found the different layers. They did find the tropical evidence up in the Arctic in some of those layers. And then, of course, the Rand Corporation and Pentagon coming to the conclusion, yes, that during these magnetic excursions, the Earth tilts 90 degrees. Those are the key things you can take from World in Peril. But it's using that and integrating every other resource available that you can start to say, wait a minute, these things are pretty coherent across the board, and then you can make the more educated judgments about them. Long-term follower here, love your work. I think you've talked about this before, but someone asked me recently, what are your thoughts on metal in human bodies, thinking hip implants, teeth, etc.? Could be disastrous, could be nothing. I do know this. Our body has an energy field, just like the Earth has the magnetic field around it. Build up your own energy field as best as you can. Good diet. Cut those drugs and alcohol. Exercise your body. Heal your mind. Learn to meditate. Strengthen your own body field as best you can. It's your best defense. Plow and hoe, not plowing hose. I like that. That's funny. Ben, can we contact you and possibly send you some information? Looks like you just contacted me. What information do you have? Fair warning, I probably won't see your comment if you comment again. Somebody else asking about Yellowstone. I'm going to have to answer this Yellowstone question until the end of the world, aren't I? Yellowstone is broken. It has the best pressure release system of any volcano in the world. Through geysers, earthquakes, geothermal releases, it can't build up pressure. The moment pressure tries to start building up, nope, it just releases it. Now, could it have an effusive eruption, just bubbling up and over like we see in Hawaii? Yes, it could. Is it going to have an explosive eruption? No, it would need to be building up pressure, as in no geysers, no quakes, none of this geothermal shit for about 10,000 years. Then maybe we could be worried about Yellowstone. I'm going to have to answer that one until the fucking sun turns red. I know it. I just know it. Blissfully Lala, thank you for the teal pair. I think I needed that right now. Thanks, Ben, for your continual efforts to educate us. Is it possible for the Earth crust to move in increments instead of all at once? Not according to the ancient stories. And you can only unlock the crust one time. It's not like we're going to get 6 different micronovas. The crust is going to do this all in one fell swoop. My God. I swear, I'm so bad at this scrolling thing. Like I'll see something and then touch. I'll just touch it and boom, it's gone. When I'm scrolling, I'm literally like an orangutan whose parents were first cousins and is blind. Come on, people, live like a Viking. Read about Viking lifestyle, learn how to do it, everything possible you can, learn how to build and make everything you can by hand. Thank you, Susie. Appreciate that. Estrogen Acres, thank you for the teal pear. Same to you, Laura. Much appreciated on the teal pear. We're already over an hour. How about that? Any movies that aren't obvious that you recommend? No. Just arrived. Was all the ancient large caves, the one in Turkey, for example, were they dug by those sheltering from synchrotron radiation from the last cataclysm? Why, you don't need the word synchrotron in there. Eyes on the World, thank you for the teal pear. Appreciate that. How will Norway do? Disastrously until the aftermath. And then if you somehow manage to win the cosmic lottery and survive it all, yeah, Norway will be in a good spot. Sending love to all the alien at it pod. Would love to have you as a guest. Right on. I don't know what I'm going to do on an alien show, but okay. What happens to the atmosphere as the Earth tilts? Will we have 1,000-mile-an-hour winds? Harsh Patel. I literally answered this question like 15 minutes ago. I gave all the rationale, but I'm just going to tell you no, there will not be 1,000-mile-an-hour winds. The weather will be bad enough from wind, hail, lightning, temperature changes, etc., that you do need somewhere to hide underground, but no, not 1,000-mile-an-hour winds. Helen, thank you for the teal pear. Any advice for those living in Japan? Live somewhere else. They're going to get pounded by waves, and all the volcanoes are going to go off, and the earthquakes there are going to be monumental. Not to mention, I think Japan's got a pretty dense population, and you don't want to be in a dense populated area. If I am spiked, am I already dead? I have to presume you mean vaccinated. Do the Phoenix protocol from August Dunning. At least 48 hours, no food, no water. But aren't you going to die if you don't? No, you're not. Here's why. Because before you start the dry fast, you're going to eat a crap load of water-laden fruits as opposed to starch-laden fruits. Banana, apple, starch-laden fruit. Watermelon, grapefruit, oranges, water-laden fruit. Do you see what I'm saying there? Eat a ton of that water-laden fruit, not to mention the fact that that's not just regular water. That's easy water, fourth phase water, and that's going to help your body even more. Also, your skin can absorb water. Just go sit in the tub about 18 hours in, and then again 36 hours in. Your body's going to absorb plenty of water. At least 48 hours. The first time I did the Phoenix protocol, I went 59 hours, no food, no water. And yeah, by the end of it, I was struggling, largely because I had to be taking care of my kids for a lot of that time. And I actually went to the dojo like a moron and thought I would get a workout in. I'm so tough. Not 48 hours after food and water. But anyway, the point is, if you're jabbed, it's not good. It's not the end of everything. Do the Phoenix protocol. If the next scheduled rotation will take water from the south to the north, why is the most recent boneyard in the Arctic 12,000 years old? Would that not suggest the last rotation went that way? No, it wouldn't suggest that at all. The Pacific attacked the entire west coast of the Americas. I don't understand what you're trying to say there, Brian. I've looked at that, and it looks like the wave pushed everything from the coast of Alaska inward. Man, you're freaking awesome. Thank you for the laughs as you destroy the dents. I do my best, blissfully Lala. Thank you for your support. But there's only so much that can be done. You've mentioned the metal tools might melt. Would a Faraday cage help? Grounding tools, copper or brass tools? I don't know for a fact that they're going to melt. It's possible. But of course, I don't know that for a fact. Anything could happen. Nicholas Horvath is asking, do we have any evidence of the cycles at 24, 36, and 48,000 years ago? Nicholas, thank you for telling all of us you have not done your homework. Go below the video. Do the homework. Please. No, I'm just making it all up. There's no evidence anything like this ever happened before. Do I have any real disagreements with Immanuel Velikovsky's work? I have some. I'm not getting into that right now. He didn't have, back then, the number of tools in his tool belt was about 10% of the tools we have now and the facts and information we have now. He did an amazing job with what he had to work with. But when you only have 10% of the tools, you're not going to get everything done perfectly right. Do I think NASA will issue a statement about a solar eclipse when the sun starts to micronova? No, they're not going to say a damn thing. They're all going quiet. What are your thoughts on Disease X? They're probably going to release it. It's probably going to be bad. Unlike COVID, this one will actually be bad. Probably. It's my opinion. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? Right arm tattoo. Can we see it? Which one? This one? This one? This one? These ones? No, you can't see them. Thanks, Ben. Good night from Montana. Dude, it's like 4 o'clock there. What are you talking about? What are your thoughts? Oh, I already read that one. Print your tools with glass-filled or carbon-filled filaments. All right, if you have a 3D printer, go for it. You may have answered this already, but is there a reason why the 90-degree tilt during the pole flip is leaning in that direction and not the other? What makes it tilt on that direction? Because the two greatest ice weight inhomogeneities are Greenland and the part of Antarctica just south of Australia. Those happen to be on opposite sides of the world, and they're going to do the most turning. They're just the two biggest ice weight masses happen to want to tilt the planet in the exact same way. Hi, Ben. Happy salty day to you. Wondering what increases or decreases speed of continental shift in the excursion. I don't understand your question. It's going to be about a constant 17 to 30 miles per hour per minute acceleration up to a maximum several hours later. So we're going to be tilting hundreds of miles an hour by the end of it, but the actual acceleration we feel is not going to be that significant. I have no idea how quickly we're going to stop, but that's another story. How would a boat fare on the seas during the tilt? It depends. It just depends. Where are you going to be? Are you under the arc discharge? Are you close enough to the shore that your boat is going to get thrown over? I don't know. Out in the middle of the ocean, what are the waves going to be like? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. I will say that the mantle heaving causing the crust to go like this, that could make for some rough seas. I don't think any of you guys realize how hard it is to be sitting here and trying to manage this right now. Thank you for all you do. Came across your channel a few months ago, started researching more and preparing, saving money to buy land, build a shelter in Colorado. Better hurry. Price is going up very, very quickly here. And we're running out of people who are selling because people have figured it out. Australian Bureau of Meteorology is using CMIP5. What impact would this have on our weather predictions? They're all going to be wrong. I made it through the breakup. Thanks, brother. Breakups are never fun. Talk on Gnostic Christianity, like where to find the passwords to get through archons. What in the ever-loving shit are you talking about? I have absolutely no idea what any of that meant. Is the movie Knowing going to come true? No, that one's actually a little extreme. You want to put yourself in an underground metal container in the ocean that is filled with salt that is a conductor during an excursion event? No, you don't want to do that. That is a horrifyingly bad idea. Monica, hello. Thank you for that support. Appreciate that. Mm. All right, Nebulosity, stand down, buddy. Your hands got to hurt at this point. Hillary Clinton will just fly her broom. Yes, she might. Becca Truly Stewart, hello. How you doing? It's my buddy. Adventure Hawk, hello. Thank you for the support. Does your community planning include plans to rebuild what has been lost? If so, what would those priorities be? Survive and multiply. Just surviving is going to be a challenge. Increasing the population is the best idea there is. As regional climate shift, what major changes do you expect to see in the US? Coldest areas, hottest, most dry, etc. Where's the best place to I'm not doing that. Where do I live? Where is Observer Ranch? What's your suggestion to record this one event to warn people 12,000 years from now? I'm not thinking about that so much at the moment. I'm thinking about getting everything that's needed to let me and my family survive, along with the other people at Observer Ranch. Bianca Hand, does your community have an army? Good try, Fed Boy. The loss, when poles hit the equator, it will be like you spinning and putting your arms out, going faster as the land masses move around. Could see a 15-hour day. I don't know, maybe. Would a steel container underground in southern Ontario? No. Will Phoenix Protocol help strengthen us against X threat? How in the world would I don't know what disease X is. I have absolutely no idea what it is. Better get sunscreen? No, you better not. I don't wear sunscreen. My kids don't wear sunscreen. The advent of sunscreen caused the skyrocketing of skin cancer. Most sunscreens are absolutely toxic. 20-foot diameter ABS pipe 20 feet down with no metal. Okay. How long might it take for the 90-degree flip from start to finish? 1 day. Adventure Hawk's Ancient Harmony. Send us emails about that. Use the contact form at observerranch.com. We'll see that. Both Kat and I monitor that one. All right. Are we going to die on the coast when the earth tilts over? Yeah, you are. Here's a question. What elevation should we be at? The correct grammar for that question is at what elevation should we reside? And it depends on where in the world you live. How far away from the coastline? What is your surrounding area like? All of those things matter. Could the mass of the moon influence the pole rotation? I don't know. I'll text Jesus. I'll let you know if he answers me. Do you have advice on how to speed read or memorize all that you do? So, the hyperthymesia is a genetic thing. I don't have any advice for that. There are several different methods to learn to speed read. I wouldn't feel comfortable recommending one over another to you. I've heard that they all can work. What about the Caribbean? Fucked. Appreciate the honesty. The end of lunar calendar, it's on April 12th, 2029. Actually, the micronova event fits perfect with the Hopi prophecy, blue and red Kachinas. It does to some degree, I can't lie. Will the pivot points of the flip be safer than most other places? From the waves, yes. However, in terms of that pattern I was mentioning, were the places that get whacked the hardest, the micronova flash is going to hit one axis point, which also happens to be where the Bible says they're getting fire instead of a flood this time. And the other axis point is in line to get the arc discharge, which is arguably the worst part of this entire thing that is inflicted upon our planet. So I would have to say no, the pivot points of the flip are not safer to be. Where in Canada would be good to shelter down in? The east side of the Rockies. Somebody's like, Ben equals son in Jewish. It's also the root form of good, benefit, beneficial, benefactor, benevolent. Son of David, Davidson, that's another story. Maybe conduct an IQ, EQ test for the ranch applicants. That'd be nice. Barbara Egan, I like that little creature there on the GIF. It's cute. Ben, are the Giza pyramids a good place to be on the big day? I think I just described why they're not. How about Mount Shasta area? Are we? Yeah. Mount Shasta probably won't be so great. Oh, don't worry, everyone. The genius is here. Aaron says, HAARP plays with our magnetic field. Idiot. Really? Were you around when they had HAARP on full blast, which they've never done since then? And you could see it on every ionosonde and radiosonde and in the critical frequency and the total electron content, and nothing happened? Oh, hey, I heard HAARP was a kill level secret for like 30 years, but then in like 90 days, we got books about it. The History Channel did a TV show about it. An actor, politician, you know, we can trust both those people. Jesse Ventura came out here and was like, hey, internet, here's your enemy on a silver platter. Go scream about it. Be afraid of HAARP. Fucking idiot. Ben, are you Polish? I do have Polish descent. Thank you. One of many things. I'm very much a mutt. Yeah. Anyway, guys, this has been HAARP is as effective as spitting on a forest fire. That's not wrong. That's not wrong. Oh God. I feel better after that last one. After that last little bit of shake it like a salt shaker, I feel way better. I feel better about my entire freaking life. Holy cow. Is Illinois a good spot to be? No. Actually, just kidding. It's great. Go to the center of Chicago when the disaster strikes. You'll be fine. Never mind. You need a funny test. Only the funniest survive. I like that. That's a good idea. Somebody just dropped Heinz 57. I like mine with lettuce and tomato. Heinz 57 and French fried potatoes. I grew up driving by the Heinz factory every damn day, living in Pittsburgh. Do you build a boat for the tsunamis? Sort of. I'm not going to. Crystal clear. Did you just mention Yellowstone again? First of all, Yellowstone is not next door to the ranch. Second of all, it's broken. And if you're like, what do you mean it's broken? Rewind the fucking video where I explained Yellowstone, or go back and watch the playlist. You know, the homework I tell you to do to find where I talk about Yellowstone about, oh, I don't know, 300 times. My God. What's my next tattoo and why? Revelation 16:8. I don't know where it's going to go, but that's going on me somewhere. Oh. Grinch, I did notice that the people clipping up the Timcast show of me are blowing up. That's pretty cool to watch. Anyway. Well, guys, this has been something between really fun and slightly traumatic. Um, wow. Wow. Everybody stop chatting. Does this work? Can I tell you guys to stop chatting and you'll actually stop chatting? Will it work? It didn't work. All right, guys. This is like I said, this was kind of fun. It was demoralizing in other ways. Um, but yeah, I think what I need now is to go play with baby Adam. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go play with my kids. You guys go watch the NFL if you must, or I don't know, prepare. If you haven't started prepping, just start with a list of things you're going to need or things you want to learn or things you need to do or things you need to get. Just dive into it. The thing that you're afraid to do, that you think is going to be too hard or too daunting or it's too big a task, the thing you're afraid of, that's what you need to run as fast as you can towards as soon as humanly possible. Not only is it the right thing to do, but it will make you stronger. Anyway, I will see you guys in the morning for the daily show. It's going to be some good articles tomorrow. Be safe, everyone.